Good morning, everybody. Assalamu alaikum. So, yesterday we talked about mobility. Today we're going to be talking about how to secure this mobility in government. So I will start with our solution brief video, and then we'll go for the rest of the technology features. So basically, in mobility, we have a lot of issues and problems. One of these issues, or the major problem of these issues, is that when we have the lack of policy management. The second thing, which is related to the BYOD, so bring your own device. Everybody is hearing about this, and everybody is bringing their own devices in the corporate and trying to access using the same credentials. So here where we have to also focus on as a major point in the mobility. The third thing, which is the most important part, is when we have a guest network, and when this guest network is just open to anybody to use it. So we will focus on these 3 points: lack of policy management, the BYOD concept and how we can secure, and the guest access management and how we can secure it, and what kind of features we can offer in here. So the normal process is when we have visitors, when we have administrators, employees, contractors, devices which cannot authenticate, such as printers, some telephone systems, and the employees' BYOD systems. So like iPad, iPhones that you bring from home and you try to connect inside your corporate. So for this, normally you have to integrate a lot of devices in your network to just secure your network. So you'll have to have a profiler, you have to have some kind of an MDM solution or enterprise mobility management solution. Then you have to have the NAC to do the posture check, to check if there is any antivirus or if the device is infected and so on. You need the TACACs for accessing the devices, radius servers to authenticate the users, a guest management system, which each and every point of these are a different, kind of devices which you have to integrate, you have to maintain, and you have to support. Now, on the other hand of the infrastructure, you'll have to have a public key infrastructure to have or generate certificates, to publish these certificates, or to register or to authenticate those certificates, or you can go for another option, which is the tokens, these RSA tokens or like time-based tokens, where it generates different kind of passwords based on the time. And then you have to have the backend, which is the Active Directory, to authenticate these users and to know, to have it as a user database or any LDAP kind of stuff. Another point is that it should be supported is when you have different devices or different users on kind of databases, so like SQL or Oracle or any kind of database. So to manage all these or to integrate with all these, it's been a headache for a lot of IT managers. So to solve this one by one, the legacy systems was always proactive. So basically, you have the system to secure, but you are not adapting to it. So basically, you have a firewall to do something, to block. You have an antivirus running in your enterprise for your corporate devices, for your government devices. You have an IDS IPS to secure the perimeter, to check inside the data going through the firewall. You have the web gateways to authenticate guests, and you have the physical security. But this is not like proactive. So basically, you need a system when you have a problem in the firewall to disconnect the user. You need a system not to keep him on using it, right? You have to have a system when you are managing your devices. If you have anything wrong with these devices, to disconnect from the network. And here is the role of the MDM integration with this policy management. And then it's also on the same level, when you have a problem with the IDS IPS, when you see somebody sending viruses over the network, you have to stop him. So this should be a proactive kind of action. Same for gateways. So how to deal with all these problems and how to sort it out with an integrated single policy management. Here is the turn of Aruba and how we deal with that. So Aruba have this ClearPass technology where we will be integrating all these technology in single box. So the legacy AAAs have a lot of limitation in terms of policy management. So all you can do normally is to integrate with Active Directory, check if the username and passwords are correct or not, and then give authority or set them on a specific VLAN or send a VSA based on their identity. So this is not enough because there is a lot of factors and a lot of other parameters involved in this kind of decisions. So the built-in policy management in a box is very important when we have additional context into it. So once we have these additional features, when we can integrate time, when we can integrate the device type, and not only the user identification, that is making a lot of more sense. And then when we are able to identify the location of that user, that will make more and more sense. And when we can get information from other systems as a feedback, to take decision on this user, this is also a different kind of information for us. So the other issue is that the BYOD. So everybody is bringing their own devices from home. And you are using Wi-Fi in the corporates, in the government, and in your houses. So once you go over there to your office, you always have your laptops. And on this laptop, you have this is a corporate laptop. So you have the ID, your ID in Active Directory, and you have a username and password. So normally everybody is regularly using the EPIP kind of authentication, which is based on username and password only. So you just double click on the corporate ID, ministry, Wi-Fi. So you connect to it, and then you get a pop-up of username and password, or it will be integrated directly because your username and password is the ID single sign-on. It can just pass. Now you bring your iPad, and you just double-click on the same SSID, and you get a pop-up with a username and password. And you just enter your Active Directory username and password, and you get authenticated, which is very, very problematic. Why? Because you will have your username and password saved on the same device. Now, by saving this on the same device is a little bit critical. Why? Because if you lose this device, somebody will be able in a way to recover, or somebody will be able in a way to come on site because they will see a registered kind of SSID. So they will just come over and they will be connected, and then they can screw the whole network. Now, another problem with the BYOD is that once you put the username and password, you are able to access as if you are having a device which is a corporate device. Now, as a corporate, I don't know about your iPad. I don't know if it is jailbroken or not. I don't know if you have any other problem on it or not. So in order to check all this information, I need something good, or I need to classify the device as a personal device. So by having a self-signed certificate done on our PKI system, which is built in the same system, I can generate a certificate. I can bind the user to his device and identify him as a personal device and push the certificate to that device to authenticate through EIP-TLS. So basically, I will be canceling the username and password from that device. So the device will not be using the username and password anymore to authenticate, but rather than this, it will be using the certificate which I have generated to authenticate. And this certificate will be also binded to the user account. So once the user account is disabled for any reason, like the employee is fired or whatever, so this will be inactive. Also, if the user report that he have lost his mobile or so, he can also report it, and I can just revoke the certificate, and the device will not have any access anymore. So here is something very important also to note, that once we identify that the user is authenticating using a certificate, once we identify that the device is a personal device, we can set him on a different VLAN or give him a different access list or different role to just access whatever he is allowed to access. So we don't give the full access to the entire network based on this. So additionally, some of the corporates or ministries are buying laptop instead of only laptops, iPads or iPhones or smart devices, and distributing it to VIPs, distributing it to their employees. So at that level, you also need to secure these. So we have we have done the integration with most MDM and enterprise mobility management solutions, where they have the full capability of controlling these devices, or controlling a compartment or a folder in this device, where you have the corporate applications. So, for example, think about your iPad, and then in this iPad you will have another small iPad which is just related to the corporate, where you have the corporate applications within that iPad. So what they do as MDM solutions, they just secure that box, and then you can have your applications over there. And in case you lose this device or you do whatever you want, you will be the corporate will always have accessibility to that folder, and they can just wipe it, or they can do whatever they want with it, or add applications or remove applications. So they have the full control on that folder, not on your personal device. Now, if by any chance you remove your profile from this device, the enterprise mobility management will send us a notification saying that this guy doesn't have this profile anymore. He removed it. So basically, we will not allow him in the network again. So we block him from the network. But the problem is how he get notified about it. So all he will get that he is trying to connect and he is getting disconnected. So he will think that you have a problem with connection. So he will maybe he will call the help desk saying that, you know, I have a problem. So we are trying here to be also to take action even before he call, by calling him ourselves. So the system will give him a call saying, hello, Mr. X, you have a problem with your iPad because you have removed your profile from your system. And this is automated process using our integration with IVRs. So once we identify if he is, for example, jailbroken, so he took his iPad, jailbroken, come back to the office and try to connect. Sorry, Mr. X, your device is jailbroken. You are not allowed to log in our network. So we handle all these devices in a very nice way, where we also can assign these personal devices on a quantity basis. So we can say for normal employees, they can get one single personal device, but for any kind of managers, they can get like 2 devices. For VIPs, they can get unlimited, or 5 devices or so. So we can set the number or quantity of devices, personal devices allowed in the network, based on the identity of the persons. So open guests has been a big threat for a long time, and we just don't believe that this is a right to just open a guest SSID by saying it's very simple, you know. So we don't want to create any problems, and we just want to allow people to access. This is not good, because you know, hackers will always have the way to go in, even with a guest open, even if you are on a different VLAN as well. So for this, what we do is that we need to identify who is connecting at what time. And we need to identify their identities. And for this, what we do is that we redirect these users who are trying to authenticate. So the SSID can be open or can be encrypted with a pre-shared key. And then once we have this, they will be able to authenticate and get a login page. And on this login page, they should supply a username and password. So everybody knows that, you know, you go sometimes to some hotels and you don't have the username and password. You have to go and contact somebody. But in a government, or like in a public location related to government, you cannot do this. It will be a headache. You'll have to have a lot of users to generate username and passwords for you. So what we do is that we have 2 cases. Even we can allow anybody who is registering to get the username and password, or we do it through sponsorship. So these users will go on and see that, you know, they have to supply a username and password. If they don't have it, they will just click create a username and password. So by creating a username and password, we can customize a form, which is, you know, so you can customize it by adding fields, removing fields, depending on your requirements. And then once we have this filled up with their mobile number, so we can just correlate this. We can send their username and passwords through SMS. This is one. Or we can publish it directly in front of them. And their account will not be active unless some kind of sponsors is approving them. Or we can do it the quickest way by just approving it. So normally in corporates, when I'm getting somebody or guest to visit me in the office, I would require a sponsorship. So I will say, I'm Mr. X, I want to meet Saadi in Aruba, so I will get a notification. So the system will send me a notification saying that this Mr. X wants to access the guest network. Do you want to allow him for 1 hour or so? So I just click approve or reject, and he will get authentication, and he will be able to access the network for half an hour or 1 hour, or the way I want. Other things that we also apply is that, so this is a kind of a form and how we register it with a self-registration. Something also good is that we can do a kind of notifications based on the location of these people by sending push notifications or advertisements. So when they get this login page, they can get some kind of advertisements. And in some public locations, what we have done is that you watch this 30 seconds of advertisement in order to get 1 hour of internet free. And then once the 1 hour ends, you will go and watch another 30 seconds of advertisement to get something else. So this is good in public locations. In ministries, you can maybe publish something related to new offers, new services. It's not like a must to be an advertisement on an ad. So we have covered everything in a single box. So, and starting with a profiler, with the integration with the MDM solutions, by having also the posture check. So on the same system, we are able to check if these devices which are connecting are having the right antivirus, if the antivirus is like up to date, not up to date, scanned, not scanned, and so on. We integrate with TechX, so we are able to use the same server as TechX server, as advanced radius server with advanced services, the guest management and guest registration and device registration. And on the other hand, we have added a lot of features like single sign-on capabilities between different applications, automatic sign-on, which is also good. So in some applications, you just connect to the Wi-Fi, and using the same username and password that you supply to the Wi-Fi, you can log into your applications as well. So single sign-on between infrastructure and application, or single sign-on between different applications, or the exchange when we talk with IVRs, when we talk with different systems like help desk now, for example, ServiceNow. So we can launch, or like we can open a ticket automatically from the system when somebody is having a problem connecting, or when somebody remove his profile, or when somebody have his mobile jailbroken. Onboarding or device registration for the BYOD, all integrated. Air Group is for when you use Apple devices with AirPlay. So if you have Apple TVs are normally consumer side, are not meant for enterprise. Their main problem is that you have to be on the same VLAN to be able to access them. We offer this integration over multiple VLANs on the same network. So you can put your Apple TVs on a VLAN, your users can be on a different VLAN, and they can still access each other. And we group them based on our policies. Also, any kind of SIEM support and integrations can be done. So the system is open source. We can integrate with multiple systems through APIs, and we can create a very nice kind of authentication mechanism with total redundancy. The system base is a ClearPass, so this is a AAA, and the others on top of it, there is triple modules, which are the guest, onboard, and OnGuard. So the visitor is for the guest management. The guest is for the guest management with the registration of the guests and so on. For onboard, it's the device registration, and it's for the BYOD devices. For OnGuard, it is a posture check and health check, where we check these devices for problems like registry and service pack and so on. Below all this, the base of the whole system is advanced AAA services, policy engine, and profiling for the devices. The profiling is also very important because we can identify printers, we can identify phones, we can identify if they are running, if they are iPhones, iPads, or iPods, if Android, which version, if it also we can identify the brand of the devices, Samsung and so on. Now in the background we can integrate with multiple identity stores. So we can integrate with multiple Active Directories at the same time, multiple folders at the same time. And we can integrate with SQL servers or MySQL servers or Oracle servers. So for example, if you want to do the identification of like the guest access through your citizen ID, so all you have to have is a kind of flag between this device and your national database. So it can do the integration and it can check if the national ID is correct or not, and then give access as a guest. What we also have done is through APIs and app servers is that we integrated with social media. So people can also authenticate using their Facebook account or their Google Plus account, their LinkedIn account, and so on. And we support multi-vendors and multiple infrastructures. So we support any kind of vendor supporting 802.1x or layer 3 redirections. And also we support the system on wired, wireless, and VPN access. So all these are covered. And we support the third-party MDM solutions or enterprise mobility management solutions where they are managing the devices that you buy as a government to your employees. So the exchange can be, for example, if we take an example with Mobile Iron, for example. So the Mobile Iron are managing the mobile devices in a network. So what we get from them is the feedback about the serial number of the device, who is using the device, and so on. And then we can decide based on all this. So if Mobile Iron as an MDM inform us, or like any MDM solution, inform us that you have a problem, or like this feedback is that we are getting is X or Y, we can take the decision and block the wireless access, the wired access, or the VPN access based on it. And once we get this kind of problems, we can at the same time open a ticket with a help desk, and we can do a lot of other integrations, or like we can publish information to this user. Also, we have integration with Splunk, so all information can be displayed in their environment. ServiceNow for help desk. Micros Fidelio when we talk about hotels, so we can integrate with their BMS solutions, Citrix AirWatch and Mobile Iron and Fillo and 360, Mass 360 as well. So we have a bunch of partners that we have integrated with them to get the full solution. So just to takeaways out of it is that we support with this system any kind of wired and wireless devices, and VPN solutions. It's a single point of management for all the devices in terms of personal devices, corporate devices, or guest. And it's a very simple IT management solution, which is giving an amazing and simple user experience. Thank you very much. If you have any questions.